Good morning, it's Shanna. We are going to do a wrap up for March, and disclaimer, I'm running on about 30% energy this whole entire month. So we're just going to take it slow. I'm going to attempt to use words and see where we go. So as usual, we'll talk about decks that I've brought in, decks that I've sent out, decks I've used. I will share the list of decks that I have for sale currently, books I've read, although spoiler alert, I didn't finish any books in March. This month's guides, rituals, any rituals that I did, kind of a catch up on how my half marathon training is going, and my wish list, because let's go ahead and add that in. Why not? So I have this paper here and my desk is packed with all the things. So we're just gonna move some things around here, I think. So let's talk about things that I brought in first. So a couple months ago, for some reason, I had a little, actually I can probably find it here. Oh yeah, it's right here. So I had this little roll of thread on a wooden spool that was, I'm assuming it was either my mom's or my grandma's, I'm not sure. It was in one of their sewing boxes, and it was just one of the spools that I guess inherited when I kind of started making my own sewing kit, like, I don't know, 3 decades ago or something. Yeah, I guess I'm that old. Anyway, for whatever reason, I pulled this out. I don't know why I had it out, but I had it sitting here on a shelf above my altar, and a few months ago I pulled it down. It was a good color to use in a picture that I had on. Sorry, I'm going to pull out this little dead guy, this little dead leaf. Anyway, there was a picture I was taking for Instagram, and this was a cute, like, little thing to put on the picture. Not a prompt. What's the word I'm looking for? An aesthetic thing. Okay, we're going to go with an aesthetic thing. So I pulled it out and I really liked it. And for February, I put it here on my altar and I just really enjoyed it. It just, I don't know, it felt significant, though to put it into words, I don't think I could necessarily. So then towards the end of March, I started thinking that I really wanted to work with color more specifically. I've been working a lot with the Color Mage Oracle and really enjoying that. Sorry, oh my gosh, I'm distracted. Okay. But I really wanted to bring in colors to my altar space. If you've been here a minute, you know I work less, I guess I do work seasonally with a lot of things, both my cards and crystals, though crystals more so recently than before. But I really wanted to incorporate color, and I thought, because I work with months so heavily, like I really like to switch out my decks and have a set of decks for each month. I really wanted to incorporate color into each month along with the decks. So obviously, or maybe not obviously, I used pink for February, and then in March, it was early March, I went onto eBay and I typed in vintage or antique, probably vintage wooden thread spools, and I found this little basket. I think there were probably 20 or so wooden spools. They were all empty, and it came in this basket, which I thought was perfect because I didn't have to find another container to keep them all in. And then I went to Michael's and I chose colors for each of the months. So this was March, obviously, with my green. And then I've just kept each of the empty spools empty. When I first brought them home, I smoke cleansed them all with my juniper, which is my wood of choice. It smells so good. I don't know if you've never worked with, cleansed with juniper, highly recommend. It smells very, very nice. Anyway, so I have all these. I don't want to take everything out because I kind of got them in there just so. But they came in all these different sizes. Small, I've got like this long one here, this one, And so like this one, I think was the only one with like a black kind of text on the top. So this one will probably be used for like October. And so I just, I wrote a little scrap piece of paper and I chose a color for each month. And I went to, like I said, I went to Michael's and chose the thread to correlate with that month. So I think this was for December. I think this is September. I guess this is October, if I remember right. And then I believe this one's November, kind of a gold. Anyway, so I thought I was going to try and like load each of these empty spools all at once, but I thought, I'm just going to do it as each month comes. So, and then at the end of each month, I'll just put the corresponding color back in, and eventually these threads probably won't be in here anymore. It'll just be either empty or the thread, the spools that I'll be using on my altar. So I don't know, I've just really liked it. It sort of feels like protective and binding, and I do use string occasionally in my spell work for various purposes. I like to tie up papers to put in my grimoire, Book of Shadows, journal, grimoire, all the things. So yeah, this was one of my favorite purchases for March. It just felt very hands-on, tactile, and because I'm literally threading from the Michael's spool onto these antique wooden ones, every piece of thread is being touched by me. So it felt good. It feels significant. And I enjoyed the practice. So yeah, so March is, or excuse me, did I say this was March? No, March was green. April is purple. But because my new week starts at work tomorrow, I knew I wouldn't have time on the 1st because I'll also work on that day. So I just kind of went ahead and preemptively prepped my altar for April. All right, something else I've been doing is purchasing, also off of eBay, these vintage, I guess, quote, air quote, table runners. So they're embroidered table runners. I have no idea, they're just random sellers on eBay. But these were things that I grew up seeing in my childhood home. My mom made them, my grandmother made them, my great-grandmother made them. It's just kind of a thing that women did back in the day. And I recently came across I want to say it was probably a tea towel that had been done by my grandma on my dad's side. But that was the only one that kind of got saved. I know, several years back after my grandmother passed, my mom obviously, kind of had to go through all of her things, decide what to keep, decide what to donate, sell, etc. And I feel like she probably had a bunch of these that I'm sure I was asked whether I wanted or not. And of course I said no, because, when you're in your 20s and your 30s, I don't know. And before I got really into like witchy type, before I was really into all of this, I didn't want it. It was just more stuff. And, I am being very mindful of the stuff I'm bringing in because I don't want to have this huge like collection of just stuff, right? That's just sitting around. But these I found on eBay. I don't know if I'll get one necessarily for every single month, but I do have this purple and green one for April that could potentially go into May. I know the last several videos I've had, it was a blue and yellow one, which I think I intended actually to use as my May altar cloth. So I may bring that one back in. But I know I have like a gold one that I just bought to use for September. Anyway, I won't pull those all out. There's a handful of them. And I think I paid anywhere between like $8 and maybe $30 for like the more detailed ones. So not terrible. And, I didn't buy them all at once. I've just kind of slowly been collecting a couple here and there. And it's been made easier because I have a specific dimension that I want to fit my desk here. So that's helped narrow down my decision because there are some really beautiful ones, but they're either too narrow or too long or too short or whatever. So that's helped narrow down, my selection. So that was another thing I brought in and I've been utilizing. Okay, let's talk about crystals a little bit because I have always loved crystals. Even when I was a little kid, my dad had very randomly sent me, because my parents were divorced, so he would send me gifts sometimes. He sent me this Planters peanut jar, like one of those old tin kind of jars full of rocks and crystals and like fool's gold and pyrite, all the things. And along with a lot of other things, when I went through my Marie Kondo phase, that was one of the things that I chose to not keep. So I think I don't think I had any crystals at that point once I kind of cleared through those things. But once I kind of came back into my re-entering into the witchiness, I've started bringing in crystals, and they're not something that I previously heavily worked with, and it's not something I really want to start collecting per se. However, when I decided that I wanted to work more with colors and having, specific colors here on my altar for each month, I did intentionally start, again, I, used that list that I wrote with the colors for the thread and used that same list for selecting some crystals for my altar. Now, my altar space, it's a corner desk. It's here. I want to say it's maybe 2 feet on 2 of the sides and maybe 2.5 on the front. It's a corner desk. It's very small. And my altar itself is it's this little wooden slab. I want to say it's maybe 12 across by 12. It's very small, which is nice because that means I have to be pretty selective about what I'm purchasing, and I don't feel the need to, buy a ton of stuff that I need to decorate this small altar with. And frankly, a lot of the altar is taken up by a lamp. So I know a couple videos ago I kind of shared the altar, and I know there's been multiple times on Instagram where I've shared that altar when I'm sharing like a tarot deck or whatever. So I won't pull the camera down and show that today, but it's been really nice to kind of just have this small space and be very intentional. So with all of that in mind, I don't know if where you live you get those gem fairs that come through multiple times a year, but we have them here where I live, and I think they come twice a year, once in the spring and once in the late fall. And so that was here last weekend, and so I went with the intention of buying a few specific color crystals. And I did wind up getting quite a few. I was pretty happy about it. So when I got them home, as we do, I do, because I don't know crystals very well. I have no idea what I purchased. Most of these, I don't remember the name. I intended to take a picture as I picked them up, but I just, the place is packed. It's like in a convention center and there's people like on both sides. And so I didn't do that. So when I came home, I downloaded a crystal identifying app, and I took pictures of everything. And I think most of them are accurate. There were a couple that surprised me because I thought they were one thing and they were another, but we'll kind of get into that. So let's pull these out. I'll just show you the ones that I recently purchased, and we'll go over what they are, or at least according to the app. And if you guys disagree with what the app has told me, definitely let me know in the comments, because I'd be curious to know. Okay, so the first one I bought is apparently called, I don't know how to pronounce this, Piterite, I guess, this one here. So this one I bought for September. It's got like the golds, the oranges, the browns. It's kind of got maybe some like purples in there. I just thought that was really pretty for fall, for September. So this one I will have just, on my altar. Sometimes I like to lay them like this to take up a little extra space if I have empty real estate on this wood piece here. So yeah, it's not something I would normally have gravitated to, but with the color scheme in mind, this was kind of perfect. So next I have, let me pull up this thing here, a kyanite. I bought for May. It's blue. I don't know. May is just, it feels like a blue color to me. I'm not sure. This is the one I bought for it, so we'll see. We'll put it on the altar, and if it doesn't feel right, then we'll swap it out for something else. But for now, that's the one I bought for May. She's very pretty. Love it. Okay, next is agate. Wow, where did my voice go? agate. And this one I just thought was so pretty. It's got like this, you know, the openings in it where you can see all of those crystal shards. I don't know all the technical terms. Is this druzy? Is that always called a druzy? I don't know. This one was the first one I was drawn to while I was at the gem fair. I was a little hesitant because of this very sharp and exposed tip. I was worried that maybe it would break over time, but you know, I just keep it here, and when it's not on my altar, it's in a closed cabinet in the guest bedroom. So I think it'll be fine. And this one I bought for December. I just thought it was very like wintry and snow. And yeah, that's the one I got for December. I just thought it was kind of perfect. Now, citrine, I do have a couple pieces of citrine in my collection, but I saw this and it was just so pretty. And I know there's been multiple times where I've done spell work or like intentions, manifesting, where it's called for citrine. And I do have this piece here, which I actually really love because for whatever reason, it fits perfectly like in my palm. Like it fits like my fingers. I don't know, it was like it was made for me. So I do love this piece, but I wanted something that could also sit on my altar, you know, sit and just kind of be like its display. So, and I can use these, you know, in conjunction, I can use them together. So I love this piece. It's so pretty. I love these, the details and its unique shape. So yeah, citrine. Okay, so next, I'm gonna pull this out. Then I bought, what is this one? Carnelian agate. Now this one I actually bought in Idaho when my husband and I went on our anniversary trip last weekend. And I walked in, I stepped 1 foot in, I turned to look at like their first display case and this was there and I just grabbed it. I didn't even think about it. I was like, well, I need you. And my husband laughed and he's like, wow, you need it, huh? And I was like, don't argue with me. Just go along with it. Don't worry about it. Shh. So yeah, oh, this was so pretty. I have a couple small pieces of carnelian, like very, very small. And again, this was another one that tends to pop up for me when I'm like doing spell work, you know, that it's like use carnelian. And I didn't really have a good piece. And this just feels good. It's nice and weighty. It stands. I love the detail here in the top. Hopefully that's in focus. So yeah, I love it. It feels nice. And honestly, this could be a nice, like meditative stone where it fits nice in my hand and my thumb fits perfectly there. So I don't know. If you like crystals, you know that feeling. When you pick it up, you just know that it's for you. So now a couple of things. I'm going to show these because I kind of want your opinion. If you know crystals, I would love to hear your opinion. One of the other crystals I bought at that same shop where I bought the carnelian was, you know, it was a small locally owned shop. It was just like an older woman, like in her 60s. And she had this in a case and I said, hey, what is this one? And I pointed. There were several of these points, all the same stone. And without hesitation, she said, oh, it's amethyst. And I was like, oh, well, I have to have that because this, you know, amethyst was my grandmother's favorite stone. She had, she's got a ring, she had a necklace, and actually I keep it on my altar here, this amethyst stone. So I just thought, you know, that's perfect. I can use this stone specifically for when I'm working with her and trying to, you know, have that energy with me. So I brought it home and I was thrilled. And so I've been keeping it on my Forager's Daughter deck. I just thought that was perfect. It's her deck. This is her stone. But then I used the app on it and it's calling it an ametrine, which this I also thought was amethyst, and the app also called this ametrine. So I don't know if the lady was trying to pull the wool over my eyes. Maybe she didn't know. Maybe she wasn't the owner. So maybe she, you know, maybe she wasn't well versed. Maybe the app just doesn't know. I mean, I don't know. The pictures that I've seen of ametrine, it does look like this, like both of these. But I'm kind of bummed. So if you know, like, I mean, are they close enough that you feel like maybe the app could be wrong? I don't know. I don't know crystals well enough to like really say, yes, this is amethyst, but I love it. And, you know, obviously this is raw amethyst, which is another favorite piece. But they're two different, you know, these are obviously tumbled and I don't know what this is called, smooth. This is raw. So I don't know. I'm a little bummed. I'm not, I'm not going to use it because I looked up the meaning of ametrine and I do like what it says. So that's great. And I probably will still use it. And honestly, my Grams, she was born in the 20s. So with the Depression. So she'd be like, whatever, who cares? It's a purple stone. She loves it. Right. And I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure that, I can only assume that this is amethyst, real amethyst. I don't know. Maybe it's not. So anyway, my point being is that I will use them still, this one for working with her and having that energy. And this one's just so nice because it fits perfectly in my palm. So it's another one that I like to use when I'm meditating, just trying to channel that energy. So anyway, it was just interesting to kind of learn a little bit more about the stones and, the meaning behind them. So all right, a couple more things. Just in here. Also, while I was in Idaho, I, being my husband and myself, I went to a little witchy shop and they had these earrings. And I asked the lady, she was the owner of the shop. I asked her if these bones were real, and she said yes. Oops. She said the person, I think she said it was a he, when he sold them to her for her shop, he told her they were snake vertebrae. And I thought that was so cool. Like, I'm not super into snakes. I'm not really against them. I'd rather run up against a snake probably than a spider. Although that being said, I don't really want a snake in my house either. But I just really like them. And they're super light. Like, they don't weigh anything. So they're really nice to wear. And they're just fun, So that was another one. And I think these are tiger's eye. And then the last pair of earrings I bought this month in March was another little local shop here in town. I went shopping with my daughter and they had just a small display of some of these bone, or I guess shell earrings with different stones. So she got a different pair, but this is the pair I chose. I just thought they were really pretty. I have not run this through the app, so I don't know what these stones are. I should have done that before I started the video, but here we are. So these are much heavier. These are a little less comfortable to wear. I don't know, but I enjoy them nonetheless. So that was the last non-deck sort of thing that I purchased this month. So I guess let's look at decks that I brought in. There were not very many this month, which doesn't surprise me because again, my energy's been extremely low. And I just, I didn't spend a lot of time journaling. I didn't spend a lot of time reading tarot. It was mostly about just functioning, essentially. So with all of that said, I did get the Sassy Dragons. I got both versions, the Not Safe for Work and the regular, the classic. But for the life of me, I don't know where I put the classic. I literally got this in, I don't know, maybe last week or the week before, and I put it somewhere, but I didn't want to spend a lot of time looking for it. And this is the deck that I have out to use right now because this is my work deck. I'll be honest, when the Kickstarter was running, I backed the original version almost immediately and just thought, I don't really need a sweary deck. It's not really my vibe. It's not really something the energy wasn't really something I wanted to work with. It's not that I don't swear, because I do. I swear all the time. I don't know. It felt, I wasn't comfy with it. So I was like, that's okay. You don't have to get both of them. But then I started seeing walkthroughs of these decks, and I really liked the way they were presented. I liked the messages, and I thought it was cute and funny. And I thought, I'm just going to get it because I'd probably regret it if I only had the one, not the other. So I did back both, and I have no regrets because when I got this in and I started flipping through it, I realized that this deck is exactly what I need right now for the things I'm going through at work in the present. So yeah, this is kind of like my comfort. This is my comfort deck right now in that I'm struggling at work. All three syllables struggling at work. And this is just, it's been a joy to you know, pull a couple cards in the morning with the question and just get a little laugh, like try to put things into perspective, try to ground myself a little bit. You know, it's just a job. And at the end of the day, if I don't want to be there, I don't have to be there. This is not a, you know, I have the luxury of choosing to be there. So this is a good deck for that. And it's been, I really appreciate it. And I feel like, I don't know, I'm sure that Peggy Papez has been just bombarded with messages of, you know, love for this deck. And so I kind of feel like I don't want to bug her with like, oh, all the things why I love this deck. But if she's ever watching this, which probably never will happen, I just want to say thank you for this, because I feel like if we were friends, she'd be fine coming in and giving them a piece of her mind. And I wish I had that friend in my back pocket with me. So for now, you know, this deck, that's it for me. And it's just been a very helpful source of comfort. So that is the Sassy Dragons Not Safe for Work edition. These are the backs, and it's edged in this just lovely like butter gold matte. It's very pretty. Love it. Anyway, okay. Next that I purchased in March is the Out of Hand Pocket Edition. And this is one that I remember seeing this on Kickstarter when it was first funding. Not sure how many years ago, 2, 3 maybe years. I don't know. I have no idea. And I didn't back it because it's very modern. Modern decks generally aren't really they're not my go-to. I'm not against them. They just generally don't work for me, or haven't in the past. But someone was featuring this deck, and they said that the original size had gone out of print, but that the creator, who is the creator? Jamie Sawyer. I should know that. She's being talked about right now because of her craft tarot on Kickstarter. That she made this pocket edition available. And I thought, you know, this was originally, the reason I bought it was I wanted it to be my work deck. I thought this could be my work deck. That, you know, it's very people-y, it's modern. It feels like these people could be at work with me. I mean, not everyone, obviously, but so that's why I bought it. But, you know, when I first got it, I pulled it out, and I do love it, and I think it will find a place eventually. It wasn't my work deck. And when I got the Sassy Dragons, I realized that it was because the Sassy Dragons is my work deck. So I do like this one. I like the depictions. I like the artwork. I like that there aren't faces. I think that helps take the people-y aspect out of it, but still leave it relatable. So, you know, this might be a deck that I take with me to read for others. And you know, I say that, and I've never, other than like maybe 2 people, I've never read for others, but it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. I'm not sure how, you know, or where I would, I'm not sure what that looks like for me. I feel like I want to do it in person, but it's one more thing that takes up time, and so my gut is saying, yes, do it, but just not yet. Give it some time, you know, let things at work settle down, find a new routine, wait until you're bored, and then bring this in, reading for others. So that's what we're doing. We're waiting, but I do enjoy it. I do regret that I don't have the large version. So if you happen to have the large version and you would prefer the small one and you wanted to do a trade, which I don't know if that would be fair. I don't know how much the large version's going for, like on eBay or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if that would be a fair trade. But if you're interested and you would be okay with that, definitely let me know. I would trade this for you, or trade this with you. Anyway, okay, the next thing I brought in was the Peculiar Pathways Tarot. I believe I talked about this. I think I talked about this in my last video, the 11 top current favorites. Did I? No, I don't think this was in it. I don't know when it was. This was not a deck I intended to bring in. I love her other decks, and I do love this one. I think it's beautiful. It just wasn't one that I felt called to get. However, as we know, when these decks go out of print, they're just extremely expensive. And it was just one where I like her other decks enough to know that this deck might eventually find a place in my collection, as in it might eventually have a job. And rather than spending, you know, $150 on an out of print deck, I just thought, you know, I'm going to get it. This was a seconds deck, so I got this deck and the book for $40. I don't think that was even shipping, or if it was very inexpensive. We live in the same state, the creator and I, so it was very inexpensive to ship. It arrived very quickly, and I have no regrets. The creator is lovely. She's very personable. Yeah, so this was one that came in, and the book is, I'd heard good things. I'm trying to find it. Where did I set that here? Oh, right here. I had heard good things, specifically on Annette's channel on Project Refined Life, but it is very good. It's very, it's easy to identify with. You've got a couple keywords. This italicized text is explaining what's in the card that she's created. And then this is kind of like, it goes into more detail into the card itself. And then she breaks down the card in comparison to the Rider-Waite-Smith. And then each of the aspects within every single card, she goes in and kind of, you know, writes just a little blurb about it. So it's really good, and I enjoy the messages. I haven't used it a ton. I've used it maybe 5 or 6 times, and it's been great. I enjoy it with the guidebook. For me, that, you know, the guidebook really drives home that message. Here are the sides and the back. So yeah, no regrets. I enjoy having it. And the seconds were literally, the only reason this one is a second is it came with this teeny tiny little ding, which I have no issue with, especially for the price I paid. It was more than fair. So, okay, and lastly, what came in was the Spirit Carrier Oracle by Mia Illusia. I probably said that last name wrong. Apologies if I did. But this is gorgeous. I love this deck. You know, the second I saw it on Kickstarter, I knew I wanted it. Backed it immediately. Here are the backs. It's just gorgeous. How many cards are in this? 75 Oracle cards and a Blessing card. So 76 total. Let me grab the book for this so that I can tell you what's in it specifically. So you've got, she kind of goes into like suggested approaches in how to use the cards. And then she's got notes. There are single rune cards, triple rune cards, cards without runes, significators and guardians, and then there's the keyword list. So she goes into, you know, and it's a chunky book. She goes into quite a lot of detail. You get 2 pages for every single card, I believe, plus, you know, plus more information. It's just, it's a, you know, it's a great book. She's gone through a lot of effort, a lot of love and energy went into this book. Energy, for lack of a better word. And so a lot of the card, you know, like I mentioned, they have runes in them. Some of them don't. This is my favorite card. I'm not sure why. One day we'll explore that. But for now, and I won't dig too much into this because I did kind of do a flip through, although it was really fast. But it's just a beautiful card. It's photography. You've got crystals. You have I want to say Scandinavian or Norse symbolism in them. You've got twigs and strings, and I already mentioned crystals. You've got natural, you know, aspects with the leaves and the feathers, and it's just beautiful. I love it. You've got shells here. I think this can be an all year round deck. You know, I think you could use this in the winter because of all the white. You know, you can use it in the summer because it feels a little bit beachy too. Spring because it has that kind of cold tendency with the whites and the blues, but I think you could also use it in the fall because you've got the reds So you've got keys here, you have a thimble. It's full of symbolism and I love it. You've got herbal aspects and it's a gorgeous deck. I did originally think I wanted to try and pair it with the Sweet Fool, which I did pair it together and it almost, I didn't work with it. I sat them side by side and kind of flipped through just to see how I felt about it. I almost feel like they were almost too same, maybe, for me to work with together, but I don't know. We'll see. I really only work with the Sweet Fool in the winter, so we'll probably pull this out with it later this year. But I'm thrilled to have this one. It's beautiful. I like the keywords. And it quickly became a permanent deck on the shelf behind me, which is where I keep the decks I'm currently working with and the ones that just kind of stay there all the time. So that is the Spirit Carrier Oracle. All right, so for decks, that is all I brought in this month. So for decks that I sent out, I have a list of decks that aren't working for me, haven't worked for me in a while, for a while. And so the last few videos, not every video, but the last few videos I've, mentioned that I have decks for sale that I will also post in the description box below. If you're interested, check it out, message me, let me know if there's something you see that you'd like, and we'll make it work. So my list is here. Oops. So if you want, go ahead and pause. The only one, so there's two here that I've taken off. We've got the Animal Guide rune cards, which I know in the last video that I mentioned this list, I said I might be taking this off, and I am going to take this off because I've been using it, and it's been another really helpful deck for the things that I'm going through at work. I've really started pulling in the runes. I've been working with them a lot more. I cannot even sort of say that I know them yet. I haven't really studied them, as in I can't pull out a rune and tell you the name of it or its meaning, but I've been using it in that either I will randomly pull runes for a message in the same way that we would pull tarot cards, or I'll go through the book. I actually have it here, don't I? Yeah. Or I'll go through the book and find a card that suits whatever it is I'm going through that particular day. And it's been really helpful. Like this book, I'm impressed by. I might wind up doing a walkthrough of this, but I almost feel like, why? Because Tegan over at Cosmic Creeper did a really beautiful kind of whole video on this deck, and I'll try to remember to link that below, because that video is what convinced me to keep it, and that's when I started working more with the runes, and I've just really enjoyed the practice. It's been very helpful. I wanted to say healing, but no, not really. I'm not there yet. It's just been helpful. There are some like difficult runes in here, as in like, I'm never going to find it right off. Although I did just... So I went through and I added the symbols, which I don't know why they didn't do, but I drew the symbols next to each of these because it was easier for me to cross-reference when looking them up. But I know that this one, number 62... Thurisaz, this was a prominent card for me the last couple of weeks, and it's just really helped kind of hone in on that energy and take the energy from me and put it somewhere constructive so that it's not just like simmering, right? So anyway, each of the rune cards in here has a lore, has a message, a person, if it's related to a person, or a place, a time, a relationship, career, health, magical use, and then we've got correspondences. So it's a great book, and I've really been enjoying using it. So I've used it in conjunction with my runes themselves, and it's been a great practice. So all of that to say, that is no longer on my to be sold list. However, also the Mushroom Oracle has come off. That one has been claimed. So right now we have the Black Violet Tarot, Dark Crystal, Millennial Tarot, Moonology Oracle, Mushroom Hunters Tarot, Pocket of Vines, which is out of print, although I would very much like to trade for the Forest Lore Tarot. If you're out there and you have it and you'd like to trade, let me know. Scarab and Dahlia, trade or for the Forest Lore. Tarot of the Animal Lords. I'd really like to just trade that one for the Forest Lore versus trying to sell it. Probably this one as well. I don't think I'll sell it. I think I just want to trade. And then we've got the Answer is Simple Oracle of the Voyager Tarot and the White Numan Tarot. So that's what we have right now. Essentially, other than the out-of-print decks, I'm asking a couple dollars less than Amazon for them, and I'm not charging shipping. So it's essentially, you're paying less than you'd get it on Amazon, and you're doing me a favor by taking it off my hands. So, okay, next up, what do we have here? Where's my list? Okay, books read. As I mentioned, I am currently reading, I want to say I'm reading 3 books, but I've not finished any of them. I'm taking it very slow. I'm just, taking it slow, enjoying them. So I have nothing to report there this month. Okay, let's go over this month's guides. Although to be honest, I've done 3 weeks of guides. Got the wrong planner here. And I've not yet pulled this week's guide. So I thought maybe we would pull a guide together, because why not? So let me get this here. So today's the new moon, right? Oh, it's tomorrow. According to my calendar, it's tomorrow. So I will be working with this little space. I'm not sure yet what I want to do, whether it be a spell or whatever. We'll see. This is my card of the month, the Celtic Owl, my March card. I haven't worked a lot with this energy this month, but I did the first week and it was very relevant. So yeah, I guess, I don't know. I've just been so distracted. But anyway, cards I've worked with are the Animal Guide Rune cards, the Wild and Sacred Feminine deck, my Little Bird Tarot, Otherkin's Tarot, and Spirit Carrier Oracle. Yesterday, I actually need to add this to the list. I also worked with the Ostera Oracle and the Tildwick Tarot, which oddly, so the last couple of days, I keep getting off track. It's okay. We're just going to roll with it. The last couple of days, I have not really known what deck I wanted to use, and I think that was part of my problem of not reading tarot. The decks that are sitting here just weren't really what I wanted to use. And then, so I would get overwhelmed and I just sort of would walk away from the deck, the desk, and just not read. So yesterday I walked in, I looked through my cabinets and I thought, you know what? I really want to work with the Tildwick, and so I brought that one out. And then I looked at the Ostera Oracle and I thought, how cool would they be together? So I put them together. I did a reading and I thought they spoke together very well. And while this might not be your first, the first color palette that you might think of when you think of spring, I thought they went really well with the Ostera Oracle, surprisingly well. So it was a great reading, and it just, April, even though, you've got pinks and the spring greens outside right now, it hasn't quite felt that way for me. Do I have these upside down? Okay, I guess and these just went together so well that, at least for a day or two, this is what I'll be using heading into April. I just kind of wanted to share this here because I'm all for, kind of having a non-traditional, usually from my April deck, which I guess I won't bring it out right now. But, for me, I think of like soft pinks and purples and fairies, but this just, I don't know. For whatever reason, this was the energy I need. and this is what I'm working with. So I guess technically this is what I worked with in March, but this will be carried into April. So I don't know. It was just, it's what we're doing. So I'm gonna tuck these back in. Definitely got distracted. I feel like I was going somewhere with that. Oh, the guides, my guides for March. So in case you don't know, I've been working with this deck. I've been pulling a single card every week since the first week of January for 2025, and working with that card for the whole week. There are 52 cards in this deck, so I'll be using one card every week throughout the month, and then at the end of the week I just put it face down, put it in first, and then put these on top face up. I've also been keeping track of them in case for whatever reason I drop the deck and get them out of order, but that's how I know that the ones I've already worked with and which ones I have not. So the first week was Raven Magic, and this one was intense because this is the one that I pulled out and used with the Thurisaz, which is actually this rune here, and even though my intention was to just use these for a week each and then cycle through and get a new card, I actually kept this one out with the next week's card for an extra week, because this one and the Thurisaz just really, really resonated for me, and I needed it. I needed that energy. I needed that support, and that's kind of why I'm doing this. So I kept a hold of that one a little longer than planned, and I'm good with that. The next card I did was this, I don't know how to pronounce the word, Bodhisattva? I don't know. Correct me if you'd like to. This one I struggled with. I don't feel like I got much out of it just based on, the write-up in the book. But I think I just think I was distracted and my mind was in other places. So, I kept it out on my altar. I went through the guidebook with it a couple of times, really trying to embrace its meaning. And at the end of the week, I just thought, what, it's okay. I don't have to understand it. That's not necessarily the whole point of this practice. The point of the practice for me is to have an energy, a guide that I can come to and focus on versus focusing on other things that are happening in my life right now. And that, that happened. I was able to come and sit and go through the guidebook, and my mind was, temporarily here instead of on things about work. So, okay, the next one was Smoke, which is this here, Gratitude. And there was actually, I don't know, let's do it. Let's go in. So there was one piece of the guidebook that actually really resonated for me, which I enjoyed. I don't know if I'll remember what it was. Okay, I guess it wasn't anything specific other than just the reminder of gratitude. Kind of what I said earlier, I don't have to be at this job. I can leave the job, I can find something different. But being grateful for that ability, for that flexibility, and being grateful that, it's a stable company that gives me my paycheck every 2 weeks. I can rely on it, and just finding things to be grateful for despite all the kind of turmoil-ish stuff that is happening. That was a good reminder. Just kind of another little grounding moment of okay, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's frustrating and annoying, but at the end of the day, you're choosing to be there, and you're getting paid to do it. So it was just a good little intermittent reminder. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to shuffle. I'll speed this part up, and then when a card drops, just one card, when a card drops, I'll slow the video back down. We can take a look at it. Okay, Mountain with Presence. I've been looking at this card since January, you know, as I'm kind of flipping through looking at them, and I've been looking forward to this one. Not for any particular reason, I just think it's a pretty card. So let's go ahead and pull the guidebook out. So it says, more ever upward toward greater consciousness and greater love. At the summit, you will find yourselves united with all those who have made the same ascent, for everything that rises must converge. So I won't go into the guidebook. I'm going to save that for myself for later, but essentially, you know, now I will read the guidebook and journal on it a little bit for the beginning of the week. So, and then usually midweek, I'll come back to it, journal again if I feel so called, and then at the end of the week before I pull another card, although I did not do that this time, I like to reread a third time for that card, and then I'll pull the new one. But so I will come back to this before I sort of move on completely to this new card. So that's been my practice. It's been fun. It's been nice to have something to focus on. And honestly, you know, sometimes when I'm struggling at work, like in the moment, I can kind of like come back to this card. I can imagine the image and think of the message that it had for me. And that's the whole point for me, you know, for doing this, is to be able to have a guide that can be with me and hold my hand and pull me back from the edge, so to speak. So that is that. All right. So for rituals, I did do a full moon ritual. So, you know, sometimes the simple act of lighting a candle, pulling a few cards, and writing an intention down on paper, which I have this fun, I don't know, I think it's fun. I found these at one of our local markets here. It's a local creator. She lives here in the same town as I do. She makes these papers, binds them herself, and then she sells them, and she sells them in her Etsy shop. I will link her shop below. And I really like using this kind of like special, unique paper that I only use for this to do like manifestations or spell work, anything like that. And, you know, and then it's a unique, special thing that I get to have. It's not just a piece of lined, you know, notebook paper. So I've tucked that in. I'll probably do something similar for the new moon here. The other thing I did, so I did a whole ritual, just based on the situation at work and how I'm feeling and what I want to do about it. So I just wrote up this whole spell of, and you know, I called it the Willow Warrior because it, you know, the willow tree is sort of, it's this tree, it's rooted and grounded, like it's stable, it is where it is, but it also has the ability to just sway with the wind and go with the flow, right? Like it's not, you know, it's not going to get knocked over in a tornado necessarily. I don't know. Maybe it would, but I think you understand my point. So, once I kind of wrote it up on paper, then I went into Canva and created this image, wrote the spell out, and then I just had it printed, and then I just printed the picture of the willow on the back as well. So essentially, I wrote that it's a protection and strength spell that embodies feminine defiance while honoring the wisdom of flexibility. This balances power with adaptability, which is essentially what I said. And then a small willow branch or leaf, which I did not have, and I used a feather instead because I felt like it sort of embraced the air, you know, the airflow quality. So, and that's the beautiful thing about, you know, writing your own spells. It's like you can write the intention behind it, but because it's yours, you can make it yours. Like if you only have a picture of a willow, or if you only have a picture of a feather, or you have a fan, or, you know, whatever it is you want to use for these things, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be exact. As long as the intention's behind it, that's the important part. So, so 3 stones, black protection, red for strength, and then clear quartz for clarity, which, you know, again, this was another reason because I really wanted that carnelian. I did use the small carnelian that I had at the time for this spell. And then a white candle, a bowl of water, salt, a piece of paper, and a pen. And then the ritual is arrange your space in a circle with the stones placed at equal distances. Place the bowl of water in the center with a sprinkle of salt added. Have the willow branch, candle, paper, and pen ready nearby. And then you go into the ritual of lighting the candle, taking 3 deep breaths to center yourself. You hold the willow branch or the feather or whatever it is you're using between your palms, and then you speak, and I'll just kind of pull this up here at this point, and you can screenshot if you'd like for the rest of the ritual. I just thought it was empowering. It felt good. And it felt like it made a difference. And so this is where I wrote, the spell itself, and I used runes and tarot, and I used that paper that I showed you earlier, and I just tuck it in here in this little pocket that I made on here. So that's that. Those are my rituals. And some months I don't have any rituals, other months I'll have multiple. So that's what I did for March. All right, so as far as my half marathon training, how it's going, I'm slow. I'm feeling my age a little as I'm increasing the distances, but I'm okay with that. And I'm trying to just remind myself that I'm doing this because I want to. Again, I don't have to do this thing. There is such a thing as free will, but it is something I want to do. And so I've been trying to remember, and mostly failing, to do readings each week or monthly based on the spreads that I created earlier this year, which I know I've showed them here. I'll just kind of briefly pop in. So I've got a monthly spread, the training cycle that I do, and then I've got one that I want to do in May, June, and July. I've got one set for August. And then I have one that I did in January, and then I'll do it again in April, again in June and July. So there's several pieces to this training schedule that I've wanted to do with this deck. And generally speaking, I've stuck with it as far as the tarot. But I do forget sometimes, and that's okay. This part was mostly just for fun. But it's been enjoyable. At this point, I still haven't technically started the, quote, half marathon training schedule. I've been doing a schedule to train me for this training schedule because it's been a while since I've run. I took quite a long extended break, so I wanted to come back to it slowly so I didn't injure myself. But this is the deck I've been using. It's been great. It's been perfect. I bought it specifically for this practice, and it's been a lot of fun. So that's where I'm at on that. And lastly, because we are just over an hour now, at least before I edit, we are. I wanted to go over my wish list because why not? This is not necessarily... This is just for fun. I just wanted to share. I thought it would be fun to go over it. I know a few of you have also shared your wish lists, and I just thought it was kind of a fun thing to get into. So I'm going to open each of these in a new tab. Okay, so this first one is The Witch's Oracle, book and cards, and I do not know. Someone showed this deck, I don't know, a few days ago on their video. Although I'm behind on my watch later list, so it could have been more than a few days, but I just watched it a few days ago. Anyway, someone mentioned it, and I thought it looked pretty cool. The concept, it just looks like something that would be fun to work with. This is by Sally Morningstar. Who was it that brought this? I guess it doesn't matter who brought it up necessarily, but it looks like a cool deck, and I wanted to give it a shot. So next is the Tempest Tarot. I just really think this is pretty. I kind of just, as a mass market deck, I just want to get my hands on it. I think it's something that would be fun to use at the coast, maybe in the cooler months, because it does seem more of it seems less summery and more, I don't know, fall coast deck or winter coast deck. I don't know. In my mind, that's where I'm thinking. So I'm excited to get my hands on that one. And then next is the Magic Makers Tarot. Now this one I'm kind of back and forth on. On the one hand, I have all of Paulina's other decks, and so I feel like I hate to use that word, I feel like I would, be disappointed if I didn't have this one as well. But it's the thing with Paulina is that none of her decks are that different. They're all kind of the same. And while they definitely have different energies per deck, the artwork is very much the same. And I don't know that it's different enough from her other ones that I'd want to work with it. So I'm not sure. I'm on the fence. And actually there was a card that I've watched 2 walkthroughs of this deck, one on Robin's channel and one on Krista's channel. And when Krista was doing hers, I noticed there was a card in this deck that has 2 birds on either side of one of the characters. And I cannot remember the card. I could go back and watch her video, but I don't want to. But that card very much is like a card in another deck that is of hers. And so it's very similar is my whole point in all of that stuttering. So I'm not sure. So I'll probably hold off on this one until I really feel like it has a place. Okay, so then the next one is the Medicine Woman Tarot deck. This one's been intriguing me for quite a while. I think the artwork's a little weird, kind of 80s. I don't know when it was published. But also, I'm kind of intrigued by it. I think I would like it. It's one of those ones where it's like it doesn't really fit in with my other decks, the style that I generally gravitate towards, but I don't know, I kind of like it. There's just something about it. It's intriguing. So, and then obviously I would want to get the book to go with it. All right, next is the Inner Child Oracle. I know multiple people have talked about this one recently. I don't know, it's pretty. I think it's nice. I don't think I would use this for Inner Child, but I like that there's a message on the bottom. And then I'm like, do I need another Oracle deck with a message on the, It reminds me of Colette Baron Reed's decks. But I do like cards with the message on the bottom. I like to use those at my morning altar as kind of a message for the day, something to remind me, keep me grounded, something to focus on. So we'll see. Earth Magic. This one is one I would like to bring in. Is it going to pop up? Probably not. There are no more big pictures of this deck unless there's some in I guess there we go. I just think this one's pretty. I like the concept of it. The artwork's very lovely. It's going to be stubborn. So I'll hold this up a little bit. You guys have probably seen this one. I think this one's been around a while. It's just really pretty. And it's an energy I think I'd like to work with. So, and then there is a book, if I'm not mistaken, that goes along with it that I would also enjoy. I think I would enjoy it. Ancient Shamanic Wisdom. So, all right, next is the Enchanted Earth Oracle. This one's a pre-order. Amanda Clark is the artist. This one I'm on the fence about just because it's an animal deck. I'm not sure I need another animal deck, but I really like the artwork. Though to be honest, I know for a fact that buying a deck for just the artwork is generally it's not something that really is helpful to me, because even though I think it's pretty, I don't wind up using it and then I wind up rehoming it. So this one's kind of a maybe. The Gaian Tarot. I'm bringing this in. I want to try this deck. I'm intrigued by it. I've been intrigued by it for a while, and this is the new version that is coming out. I guess you can't really... I hate when Amazon doesn't let you click into the picture. Anyway. Yeah, I don't really like the old version with the big blue borders. Apparently this one's going to have big green borders. There we go. So I don't know. These people are very people-y, but I'm super curious. It's mass market and I want to give it a shot. And I love the herb crafters, so I'm going to give it a shot. This one's not on my radar to buy, but since it was right here, I'm going to click on it. In case you haven't heard, Tarot of Woodland Wardens is coming out. That one's going to be cute. I'm excited to see how people use it. It's not one I'm really tempted by, but it's beautiful. Okay. All right, the last one on my list of decks anyway is the Citadel Oracle. I keep putting this one off. It's another one I just really want to try. I'm very curious about it. I want to see how it works for me, and again, because it's mass market, it's not something I'm terribly opposed to just getting to try. So, and then the rest of the stuff on my wish list are books. There's just a handful of books, but we can save those for another time because I know we are well over an hour at this point. So that, in a nutshell, is my March wrap up. And I appreciate you guys being here. I don't really have anything else to say. I've said a lot already. So thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out and spending time with me. And I will catch up with you guys next week. Bye.